Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Krishnaya Bhutale Srimad Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Vachaline Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Shakti Shatanine He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabando Jagatpate Gopesha Gopakanta Arakanta Namostate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishavanu Sudevi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpa Tarunvyascha Kripa Sindhuvyeva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gauravantavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna. Thank you for coming, and this is for a whole week here. Wow. 1, 2, 3. This is already too much. Look at this. I mean, this is a question. Okay. Let me take this one, because maybe not only this person has that problem. So, because of anarthas, the mind is disturbing. Anybody who has no problem with this? We all have, I think. And now one may conclude, and this is, therefore I took the question because I've seen this before, that somebody may think, I'm so offensive and I'm so fallen that I should not be not disturb the devotees. I should rather better go away. I'm not qualified to be in, even enter the temple or stand in front of the Lord. I'm such a rascal. So one may feel I'm not able to continue in Krishna consciousness. So what to do? Any suggestions from your side? What would you tell such a person? What to do if one feels like that? Saying, okay, here's the door, goodbye. Is that an option, a good advice? Why not? So, let me...
You can share with his counselor.
Okay, there's a counselor. Everybody has a counselor? So you may not have a counselor. So that would be, I think, the first step. You should speak to somebody who may be able to pierce through the cloud of illusion, right? In a general way, the advice would be, what's the alternative? If one feels that I cannot continue the process, then what will you do? Just go back to the lap of Maya and continue sleeping there? Doesn't matter how we feel. If we understand, that's the question. We have to understand the philosophy of Krishna consciousness with intelligence. If it's only based on sentiment, and that happens, somebody may come to the temple and even begin chanting and be with the devotees, but it's just a sentiment, not really understanding why am I doing this. So that normally will not last for a long time. Or as we yesterday spoke about, the Chatur Vidhava Jantimam, 4 types of people come to Krishna with different motives. So, Arti Artarto, the one who's in distress, the one who actually just wants to solve his economic situation, or one who is just curious, let's see what this is. And then there's the person who actually is looking for the absolute truth. So the first three, whenever their desires are basically fulfilled, the distress goes away, one feels better. I'm relieved, I have some peace, somebody wanted peace, right? So when you get the peace, then that's it. I don't need Krishna, I have peace. Or now my economic situation is better, the Lord is very kind, He gave me a good job, so then, okay, until later. Or curiosity, yes, I have some idea what's going on. It's nice, but it's not really for me. So this is not sufficient. If one understands, who am I, who is the Lord, what is this world, and all these basic, the Atato Brahma Jigyasa type of questions, if that is understood with intelligence, then we understand that that is my position as a spirit soul, as a jiva, jiva swarupa, nitya Krishna das, as eternal servant of the Lord. So things may be difficult, but that is also understood. The world by nature is difficult. Yesterday we also spoke about that. Don't be surprised. There's always a problem. And don't expect that someday, as people in the material world think, by our advancement and by our adjustments we finally come to a perfect world. No war, no poverty, no hunger, no disease, no abuse, no terror, no, everything and everything is wonderful. Will never happen. Even on the higher planets, it doesn't happen. Even the demigods have their problems. Then they will be thrown out from their heavenly residences and have to hide for some time because the demons are very powerful. Then they go to the Lord and ask for help. And then the Lord incarnates, for example, as Vamana to help the demigods. So if we understand all these things, then even though one may feel whatever one may feel, and one may feel even then the fact to feel unqualified is a good thing. And then you're not really unnecessarily proud. And if one becomes a little humble, then that's a very good qualification to be able to serve. So, anarthas, don't be surprised if there are anarthas. That's also everybody. In the material world, practically, we don't find a living entity without anarthas. So, but then the devotees, the Lord Himself and His devotees, they have given the process how to get rid of them. Anartha nivritti. So if we have some faith, then we have to continue the process, no matter what. We shouldn't be surprised and discouraged if we find in ourselves some anartha. I would be very surprised if I don't find any. It means I'm in Maya. There must be. But anyway, so no, one should not even. This is not an option, basically, we should say. For somebody who has understood the process of Krishna consciousness, to just leave it and go away is not an option. What are you going to gain? Nothing. We could just continue the cycle of birth and death. And if we're not offensive, if we're just weak, let's say, yes, my mind is disturbing me because of anarthas, the devotees will not reject us because of that. Right? Only an offensive person or who does not want to follow the process, then you cannot stay in the temple. But otherwise, just struggling, there's no problem. Everybody is struggling. So I think, anything else we can add there? I think that's basically what I would tell. So then, Yes, related to this, we have this statement that despite facing problems in life, you continue to move ahead. Please let us know what gave you strength and continues to do so. Good question. We have this song by Bhakti-yoga Thakur, or He Vaishnava Thakura. What is it? I have to remember. You know that by heart. Amara Nahi. I have no strength. What is it? Ekaki Amara Nahi Bala. Nama Sankirta. I don't even strength. I have no ability to even chant the holy name. Then Tuma Kripa Kori Shwara Bindu Diya, right? Please give me just one drop of your mercy. So this is also not unusual that we may feel, well, it's related to the other situation that one may feel I have, and it's a truth. We as living entity, what is our strength? We don't have really strength, especially in front of Maya. We are very small. Daivi yesha gunamai mama maya duratyaya. Duratyaya means, it's translated as very difficult to overcome, which means you cannot overcome. Duratyaya. So how then? What to do? We have to get strength from somebody more powerful, and by Tumi Kripa Kori, by getting some mercy, then one will be able to. And it's not then we shouldn't become proud that, look at me, here I am and I'm so powerful, I can overcome easily. No. Only by the mercy of Hari Guru Vaishnava, the Lord and one's spiritual master and the devotees, then we get some strength. Oh, hey Vaishnava Taka, Doyara Sagara Edase Karuna Kori. Just give me, please, your notion of mercy, give me some. There are so many songs begging for mercy because alone we are not powerful to be even continuing in the process, facing all these different problems that Maya is putting in front of us. So, yes, what gives you strength? Well, getting strength from somebody who is strong, and Krishna and his true devotees. They can give us unlimited strength, actually. And then, no matter what obstacle comes in front of you, it's insignificant, becomes actually insignificant. Just like this verse compares the ocean of material existence to a water in the hoof print of a calf, right? The whole ocean of material existence is actually unlimited. It's so, how can you cross? But it shrinks to very small, hoofprint of a cow, not even a cow, hoofprint of a calf. Cow hoofprint is twice as big or 3 times as the hoofprint of a calf. So hoofprint of calf with some water in there, what's the problem to cross over that? No problem at all. So that is Krishna's, because he's helping. So he can do this by his mystic power. He can reduce the influence of Maya practically to zero. And even if Maya is in front of you, like in the case of Haridas Thakur, there will be there's no influence on the devotee. So that's what I would answer to this. And then, yes, Prabhupada says that we should be afraid of Maya. But I'm not afraid of Maya. Well, what should I do? Then you have to suffer a little bit more. No, it's true. It's somebody who is not afraid of Maya. He's a little ignorant. Or, yes, completely illusioned. Although one suffers, life is good, everything is nice, It's a wonderful world. So then that's a lack of intelligence. Not being afraid of Maya is just a sign of a foolish, ignorant, stupid rascal. No, I mean, with a little bit of understanding, intelligence, one should understand that Maya is very powerful. And if one is not careful, then we will be ending up going around again in the cycle of birth and death. So how can you not be afraid? But we should, if we really understand that this is a fact, then there's all reason to be afraid. Only those who think that, no, this, or on one side, people think it's only one life. There's nothing coming in the future. So what should I be afraid of? Everything will just be finished. Right? There's no suffering coming because of what I'm doing now. That's a very prominent philosophy. So what I can do whatever I like, basically. There's nobody watching. There's no witness to what I do, and there's no reaction. So that's all ignorance. And then there are those who may understand that there is some future life, but when they are told that if you act like this, then you will become a dog, they say, oh, I don't care. I like to become a dog. I don't have to work. Well, you may think like that if your vision is I'll become a dog in some rich rich lady's house. Don't become a street dog in Delhi. Or anywhere in India. Or anywhere. Street dog is... If you don't understand that they are suffering, then you're really ignorant. You can see. Who has not seen a dog practically without any hair? They have some disease, right? Or only they walk on 3 legs because one leg is broken. And so many, you can tell this living entity is in a suffering condition. Or they're very, very thin because it's hard to get some food. Simply that. There are so many other dogs, and he's a weak dog. So when they find something and he wants, then 3 others come and they just bite him, and he can't. They will eat and he cannot eat. So if you don't understand that this is suffering, then you probably have to go through that to understand. That's not very intelligent. So yes, we should be afraid of Maya, seeing the effect of Maya on others by just observing the world. Then you may have to look at the news. If you don't understand, then Maya is very cruel. Everyday news, there's no good news, it's all bad news, continuously. An accident here, some disaster there, some attack there, some bomb going off there, killing so many people. What is any good news? Good news is no news. It has to be bad news, and there's no scarcity of bad news. There's so many news networks. They all can live because they have all kinds of bad news every single day, 24 hours. So if you really don't understand that Maya is causing suffering, you may want to have a look at the news. And then you should understand. And if you don't, then you have to experience yourself. And that's not a very good option. Just, be born in a very difficult situation and then just suffer. No. So we should, actually we know 3 ways of understanding things. One is by hearing about it. One is by seeing others. And if you really still haven't understood, then you have to experience yourself. And if you're really stupid, even after experiencing yourself, after hearing, after seeing others, you still think, it's okay, c'est la vie. Life is like that, and we just have to live with it, and it doesn't matter. After some rain, the sun will shine again. That's another philosophy. And that's true, it will pass. It may take a whole life, you may be suffering. But then sometime in the future things will get a little better. Yes, and then they will get worse. So if you don't understand that, what can be done? All right, so I did 3. Now we have to do... Let's see whether it's worthwhile. Oh, Krishna. Sure. There's somebody from a small town who will go back to preach alone, and he wants to remain a brahmachari. It's possible, but it probably will be difficult. So, what can I say? If you want to really remain a brahmachari, you will be able to. And if not, just get married. And preach as a householder. What's the problem? I've been married. But don't be, until you die. Just, So, depends. If you can remain, you can remain under any circumstance. Of course, it's better not to be alone. Try to convince somebody to accompany you, to be with you. It's better to have at least one more person. To just all on one's own, not as a brahmachari, not even as a grihastha, and not as anybody is a good idea. To be alone is not a good idea. It's best to have at least one person. In the beginning, when we opened temples, I don't think anybody went alone anywhere. At least 2.
We also don't.
You don't do that?
No.
So what is this all about?
He is telling 5 brahmacharis alone.
I will be serving there as an alone brahmachari.
We don't have such temples or center where alone brahmachari.
So then, forget this question. I mean, even if, don't do that. It's not a good idea. Or somebody has not a special instruction by the guru, just as Prabhupada received to preach in the West. That, I think, if we look at Prabhupada's disciples, I would say the great majority has not received a direct instruction. Just, it's not a fact. But, what's the problem? We have already so many instructions in Srila Prabhupada's books that are for everybody. You pick any of them, basically. So we don't need, I don't think there's any need for a special instruction. Right? If you get it, you can ask also. If you really feel I have no special instruction by my guru, well, why don't you ask? If he's still alive. And if not, well, then you take the teachings and then you consult with senior God brothers or sisters and find out, what do you think I should do? I don't think that should be a problem. And there's no need, I don't think, to become successful in Krishna consciousness to have a special instruction. If we just follow the instructions we already have, which are general instructions, they are sufficient to become successful. So problem solved. What else we have here? These are 2 chapters. We do have some who wear saffron cloth. There's a question about this. What is the standards or the meaning? And if one should accept this, even if he's not having the qualities right behavior. Of course you shouldn't. I think that's, a question that should be very clear. Why should one pretend to be something if he's not? If you're not celibate, then why you wear saffron? Don't wear saffron. It's just bogus. It's not, then you have to be honest. If you can't, it's not, the world doesn't end if you're not able to. Most of the people are not able. We should understand that. It's not a disgrace. It's practically normal, especially in Kali-yoga. It's very rare, especially for young men, to really remain celibate. Celibate means celibate. Zero sex in any form or shape. So if one cannot do this, then you better get married. Don't just make a show. And as it is said here, yes, if people see a so-called sadhu behaving in the wrong way, then that decreases their faith appreciation, and it's called a scandal. Even the church is struggling with this. They don't wear saffron; they wear black. The priests, but they are priests, and they're expected a certain standard of behavior. And if they don't, and then it's found out, then it's a big thing. It becomes a big scandal. So yes, and that we yesterday also spoke about that. And Prabhupada explained about Gajendra. There's no need to pretend to be something if that position is not favorable for Krishna consciousness. If you are weak like Gajendra in the water, then you have to be, put yourself in a position where you get strength. Okay. We talked about so many things. Any questions about these questions or the answers before we just continue? We have 10 minutes more. Is it clear? Were the answers more or less clear, or are there any doubts? Whoever may have asked one of the questions, maybe it's not clear what I said.
Right now spoke about Gajendra.
The what?
About Gajendra.
Gajendra, yes.
So, does this strength means lack of difficulty in getting the nourishment of hearing and chanting?
Could be. But it's just also the nature of the person. If one, you talked yesterday about samskaras, which may have something to do with it. If we see, I would say, conclusion, somebody is coming to to Krishna consciousness, to the temple, and immediately, no problem, he does all the practices, and he can stay celibate without no problem. So where does this come from? That's very unusual. And especially if it really can, since a young age, stay throughout one's life. Of course there has to be some practice from the past. And if not, then you have to do it in this lifetime, and that may include going through the different ashrams. Maybe necessary. Instead of pretending, if one is always disturbed and always thinking about it, whenever one sees a young woman with some children, one thinks, I really would like to have a few children. Then why you want to pretend to be a brahmachari? Then get some few children and educate them, and like that. Then you are in what we would call a natural position, according to your present nature. And if you can avoid it, then you save yourself from a lot of trouble. But again, it's better not to be fake and pretend. What's the use of that? That's the whole story. The thing of, you read that purport and you'll become clear. So it's very clear about it. We are fighting. Yes, we should be afraid of Maya and fight. Now, some may not be able to fight in one position. That doesn't mean you should give up the fight. That is the whole purport about it. Then you put yourself in a different position where you can fight with strength. And that may be a fact. One man's food is another man's poison. That saying means that. What is good for one person may not be good for another person, and vice versa. Right? You understand that proverb? I think it's common sense also.
You were telling about some, just like talked about some purpose.
So,
Some purpose.
yes, 8th canto. You want to know where? You look at you have database? You can look it up. Gajendra, you know where to find it. You can have Gajendra, Sannyas, fighting Maya. You'll find immediately the purport.
Can there be a case where a Nityasiddha Vaishnava who has been sent by the Lord and the Vaishnava forgets out of Yog Maya of the Lord that he is a Nityasiddha and he is practicing just like a struggling sadhaka?
Of course he can. Even if you're Nityasiddha in the spiritual world, you forget. Especially there, you forget. Anywhere, if it's conducive for serving the Lord, then even the Lord forgets. Right? When Krishna runs away from Mother Yashoda, he's afraid. What is that? Is it just show? He knows he's the Supreme Lord and, okay, let me run away, so people think I'm afraid and they will like this pastime. No, he's really afraid. He cries. There's a stick coming. So it's not fake, no. Yoga Maya, that's her business. According to the Lord's desire, he makes forget everybody that they are, that he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. When the friends deal with Krishna and fight with him, they don't know that he's God. And he also doesn't know. Otherwise, how can you have a real pastime? So it's Yoga Maya's function to make everybody forget. And when he wants to remember, he can remember. It's according to his will. She moves according to his will. So, devotees, Nityasiddhas who come here, they can also forget if Krishna wants them to forget. And they can remember when he wants them to remember. Easy. Anything else? It's a short one.
Can you tell me something like how can we observe during Kirtan?
Just do it.
I see your,
No, everything comes by practice, isn't it?
I hear that the Kirtaniya consciousness is more important because that influence.
Yeah, of course.
So how to?
How to? How to? It's like, how can I become Krishna conscious? What a question. We have given instructions how to do that. So if we follow, all these things come, right? How can I become purified? How can I remember Krishna? It's all have been answered. We have to hear regularly, chant regularly, avoid the offenses, follow the regulative principles, and then this will come. Imperceptibly. You don't have to. It's like this verse, Bhakti Pareshanu Bhavo Viraktiranyatra. Bhakti devotion and Paraisha Anubhava, perception of the Lord in your life, and Virakti, becoming disinterested from material life. This will come automatically. It will develop just as somebody who eats, he will feel pleasure while eating, and he will feel strength, and he becomes disinterested in eating more when he becomes satisfied. Hunger goes away. It's an experience. It's very practical. Nobody has to tell you, yes, now you are feeling settled, now you are... No, everybody will know. So just by doing this, then you will know. And if you don't know, then you're not... Yes. You may not be eating the right thing. If you say, well, I'm eating every day, huge plate, but I don't feel any nourishment, my hunger doesn't go away, then one may ask, what are you eating? Is it all burgers, junk food? Then of course you will not get the result. So the food has to be appropriate, obviously. Then naturally it's a practical experience. If you get a very nice plate of prasadam, nourish, then if you eat, your hunger will go away. Unless you're not you're sick. There may be another cause. Well, there's somebody else inside.
I see.
Yes, some big worm or a whole family of worms. Whenever the food enters, they'll take it all. So then, of course, you have to get rid of the worms. So, but normally, generally, if you eat the right food in the right way, then these three things happen. So if you practice in the right way, as the acharyas tell us, then the result will be there, 100% sure. A good example is treatment. You're sick, you go to the doctor. Then you get the, procedure, treatment. You have to take these drops 3 times a day with the meals, or before the meal, or whatever. And it's 5 drops each time with some little honey mixed, And don't eat this, like Prabhupada gives the example, I think I don't know whether it's typhoid or some disease, you shouldn't eat any solid food. And he gives the example that some boy was suffering from this disease and he was supposed not to eat. And his little brother, ignorant, so the boy of course wanted to eat, but the mother, following the doctor's advice, was having him fast. And then, the boy was saying, get me something, I want to have, this and this, I like samosa so much. So the little brother, thinking, my brother is suffering so much because, he has had nothing to eat, he wanted to do some good, and he got him some food. And then he ate the food, he became more sick. So this kind of, it's just, wrong. So it's kind of charity, one may say. So, no, one has to follow the treatment, not some sentimental, idea what I should do or what I should not do. If one has to fast to become cured, then you have to fast. And if you have to take that bitter medicine, although you don't like it, you better take it. And if you have to do this or that and don't do this or that, well, following the advice, if you do it, then the cure will take place. Otherwise, or it will not take place, or it will take a long time, or things get worse. Like in that case, if you go against the instruction and you continue to take some type of food, which is just making the disease more acute instead of curing it. So, we know what to do. If we do that, then the result will be there. To the degree we don't, and not only that we don't do things, we do things that one shouldn't do, then what do you expect? Then of course you will not. And then somebody will say, I have been chanting for 20 years and I'm feeling worse than when I started. So then one has to find out what's going wrong. Where is the problem? Otherwise this is not possible. How can it be possible? Otherwise all the acharyas are wrong, which they are not. So you may have to analyze your situation. Where am I going in the wrong way? And then it's clear. And it always, you can find, if you analyze, you may have to take help from somebody else. Then you can find out where is, and then you have to deal with the problem and to rectify it. So, I think it's 2 minutes after 5. So all these, I'm sorry, but you can keep them and discuss amongst yourself, and it shouldn't be too difficult to give some good answers. All right? So, thank you. Hare Krishna, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Gauravani Bhakti-yoga ki jai.